Power to the people.
Power to the people.
All power to all people.
Yahuwah Sasa.
That's right. My name is Jay Jordan. I'm Networks Manager for California for Safety and Justice. I've been out 4 years, and it's been a blessing. And I have to say, man, it feels good to be in a room with my brothers and sisters. I tell you, man, it feels good. So I've been tasked with framing Prop 47, so I'm going to take 5 to 7 minutes to kind of frame what P47 is and how we got here, right? In California, you know, when you think of California, you think of surfer dudes and tree huggers and Berkeley going, pot smoking people, right? And progressives, you know, and trendsetters, you know, for progressive movements, especially in the Bay Area. You know, I'm from Stockton, California, right down the way. Where my Stockton folks at? My Stockton folks in the house? That's what I'm talking about. Y'all better whistle, right? But we've been setting trends for the last 30 years, yeah, but we've set a horrible trend. And as Dorsey's apologized to the youth, I want to apologize on behalf of all Californians for giving you mass incarceration, right? You know, we've been a national standout for tough on crime policies. We produced Richard Nixon and his war on crime. We produced Ronald Reagan and his war on drugs. It was California voters who passed the swiping 3 strikes law that was replicated all over the country. It was our legislature that passed, that over a 30-year span passed 1,000 crime bills that added felonies, added more enhancements, and made tougher parole guidelines. What was the result of all that? 22 prisons and 1 university. 22 prisons and 1 university. 5 times more people incarcerated than we had 30 years ago. 5 times more people incarcerated. And our streets are not safer. Families torn apart, people disenfranchised, and men and women all over the country, really, demoralized and forever sentenced to a lifetime of joblessness and hopelessness. We saw a prison overcrowding. We saw a prison health crisis. I was in there when, you know, they filed that lawsuit against the state of California, Plata versus the state of California. You know, I was in a gym, and it was 238 men in the gym, and we had 8 bathrooms, eight stalls. And we had unimaginables seeping up from the tile because we couldn't. 238 men and 1 septic tank just wasn't right. I was in there. Subsequently, a court case was filed, Plata versus the state of California, and the U.S. Supreme Court said that California must reduce their prison population. So the governor decided to push through, you know, Assembly Bill AB 109, AB 109, known as realignment in the state of California, which just was a shell game, moved prisoners from prison to jails and gave more money to probation departments, right? Prop 36, which took made the 3rd strike have to be non-violent in order, violent in order to get, you know, 25 to life. But that didn't come from us. Prop 47 was the first community-led, statewide, grassroots effort. This was our initiative.
It took the wind out of law enforcement.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? It was and some of you guys in this room were like detrimental to its success. Not detrimental, but incremental to success. Some of the wins that Prop 47 did, matter of fact, let me back up. Who knows what Prop 47 was? Woo! So we got some folks in the room who don't know what Prop 47 was, right? So I'm a preacher, man, so y'all gotta talk to me, you know what I mean? Right? So Prop 47 reduced 6 felonies to misdemeanors. And it made these reforms, right? It made the eligibility infinitely retroactive, meaning no matter how long ago you got these felonies, 30, 40 years ago, you were able to find relief, not only inside the prison, but outside the prison as well. And it took that money that we saved, $68 million this first year, and reinvested it back into community. Substance abuse, workforce development, financial literacy, victim services. Amen. Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? Amen? Some of the major impacts. Over 1 million Californians were eligible for Prop 47. 250,000 people already applied to have their felonies reduced. 250,000 people. 18,000 fewer people incarcerated. 18,000. Instantly. Right, Susan? Instantly, right? 55,000 fewer arrests annually. 55,000 less people having to wear those platinum bracelets. 100,000 fewer arrests. Not only 55,000 fewer people incarcerated, but 100,000 fewer arrests. 100,000 people that aren't being arrested. Now, I want to say this, and I want to pass the mic about Prop 47 and why I'm so excited about it is because for so long I was in those trenches, I was in the cell, and I heard about reforms going on. I heard about the 85% dropping down to 65. I heard about the 50 going to 35. People were writing me kites. There was newsletters passed to me, but none of that shit was true. And when I got out and they said, oh, we're running Prop 47, I'm like, yeah, this shit ain't gonna happen. But I realized who was working on it. Susan Burton, Dorsey Nunn, all of us are Nunn from Riverside, Terrence Stewart, Pico, California, Callie Calls, a formerly incarcerated coalition of about, thousands of people knocking on doors, and this is our initiative. I knew it was gonna pass. That's what Prop 47 is. Prop 47 is more than just a proposition. It is hope and dignity for so many people, and it was led by formerly incarcerated folk and activists all around the state.
And speaking of hope and dignity, that brings us to Ingrid. Ingrid Archie is going to talk about the impact and experience that she has had with Proposition 47.
I think I need to stand because I feel like I'm gonna fall off the stage. I'm nervous.
Take your time.
Okay. So, I was released on Prop 47 last year, August the 14th. And I was released because I did my own petition. I wasn't offered the resource from a lawyer or public pretender of being able to get that Prop 47 relief. So when I saw that I was eligible, I used my indigent envelopes and I got out early. And so because of that, A New Way of Life was right there at the train station to come pick me up my first day out, Miss Burton. And y'all gotta clap after. So she basically laid out, what we were gonna do. And other things, happened because of that. Other things kind of got in the way. I had to go through a grueling fight for my children. And on top of that, still having to stand firm and know that I was offered a second chance to get out, early. And because I was offered that second chance, what am I gonna do about it? So I decided to go ahead and stand in that grueling fight with the resources that I had and the support from A New Way of Life. And then Ms. Burton introduced me to Lenore, and she felt that I needed to share my story, while I was going through it, not afterward, but while I was going through it, so I could take the power out of the pain that I was going through. So I met Lenore, and then I started going around telling my story on how I got out on Prop 47 and became, is actively becoming a success story. So because of that, Ms. Burton was doing her background work, and I ended up doing some canvassing work for Prop 47, and then I got hired to work with Lenore Anderson at A New Way of Life as a Prop 47 specialist. Also, I work for the African American Civic Engagement Project, which is where I go out and, we go out and we empower people to vote so that we could keep building on the platform that was set, like Prop 47 in our community, and showing people why we need to get out and vote. And it's important for us to keep empowering each other and not let legislators or policymakers make laws that affect us without us having a voice to do so. That's right. as a result of that, you know, Miss Burton, Miss Tiffany, A New Way of Life, the resident, kept trudging with me. I got off probation, you know, successfully. I got my kids back. I got out of a new, no, y'all gotta wait. Oh gosh, I was trying to cry later. And so it's just funny because the three organizations that, you know, I knew about, Cali Cause, A New Way of Life, and CSJ, you know, these were the people that fought for me to come home, and now I work with them. And now I'm able to go out and do the work, and who would have thought that, you know, the work that they were doing, this is what, you know, they produced. And, you know, I just want to continue to do the work and share the hope and the strength and let people know that you don't need somebody to always hold your hand, that sometimes you just got to keep your feet planted, and you have to understand that you have to stand up for yourself so that people can stand alongside from you. Not so that they could lift you up, but so that they could stand with you and we could do this together. Because if we feel like we have to let them take advantage of it, then they're going to take advantage of us. This is our state. These are, you know, it's our people in our communities that's impacted, and we need to keep standing together by showing people that even if people can't get the access to register to vote, then we're gonna go in like Susan Burton and register our people to vote so that when they get out, they know that you still have a voice. And also we gotta let people know that, you know, this is where we at, and Prop 47 was the building block, and we gonna keep building, and we're not gonna stop, and we're here to stay, and we're gonna swag it out forever.
I think it would be hard to have a panel on Prop 47 without hearing about the implementation, both locally and structurally. And John Jones is going to talk with us. And his timing was perfect, right? He got here right before we needed him to be. So John, can you tell us about what Prop 47 has been like in terms of the implementation in your work?
Good morning, everybody. My name is John Jones III. I'm the life coach with Courage. And first of all, I want to apologize for being late, because I do believe in respecting people's time. But that's why we're here, though, right? We're talking about time. The time that many of your loved ones have spent behind bars, which is why Prop 47 was so important and so crucial. But I was running behind today because me and my partner, we just moved into a new place, and we had a burglar alarm set up. And I didn't know how to work the system leaving until I had to get here. So that thing started going off, and I got triggered. I heard that, I didn't know whether to drive, whether to run, right? I didn't know what to do. I'm like, babe, you know, because you hear stories like, you know, a brother have a trouble, police show up, it's not his place, boom, open and shut case, Johnson, right? But I'm glad that we can laugh, because, you know, a lot of things in life is not a laughing matter. You know, it's not a game. It's very serious. And Prop 47, in terms of implementation, there have been some challenges I want to share real quickly. First of all, there was almost no money allocated toward making sure folks can get their felonies reduced. You know, the system would spend endless amounts of money to put us in, won't they? They put the handcuffs on. I think for every person arrested, there's probably 50 people who eat off that one person. You understand what I'm saying? There is no challenge. There's no problems with putting you in. But when it comes to getting you out, now all of a sudden it's a problem. Now it's not enough money. Now they're not sure how they should do that. But we think it's equally important as we talk about ending mass incarceration to make sure we actually do it. So for example, here in Oakland, I'm part of a coalition called the Justice Reinvestment Coalition, and we have organized over 10 reclassification events. We understand that's crucial to, first of all, creating a safe place for people to come. Because many of us, we've had bad experiences with public defenders. How many people in this room had experience with a lawyer or a public defender who promised you something but failed to deliver? Right? Right? How many times you try to reach out to them and they don't get back at you? How many times you been in court? They say, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. Just trust me, I got that. You know what I mean? Right? I'm gonna share one quick story with y'all, but this is irrelevant. I remember when I was in court, right? And I had a public defender, and she tells me, Mr. Jones, I believe that you're innocent, but I don't think you're going to get a fair trial. So you should take this deal for 7 years and go to prison. I said, you gonna do half this time with me? You gonna tell me you think I'm innocent, right? So the whole point was we want to have a safe environment for our people. We wanted to be a family-friendly event. So we had the bouncers and the jumpers. We want to make sure that we're doing culturally competent care and services with our people. Because our people are what? They're people, they're humans. So that is very important. 3 minutes. So we have a stake now with Prop 47, I'm sure we all know there's a savings component, right? To take the money they would have spent to put us in prison, that money now would be reinvested in the community in the form of programs and services to address mental health and substance abuse. But you know, for many of us, that was not enough because we didn't trust the system to do a job that it was not designed to do in terms of helping us. It's doing the job it's designed to do now, which is destroy families, which is to tear us apart, which is to lock us up in a cage like animals. So many of you in this room right now, you fought hard, you knocked on doors, you organized events, you was tired, you was hungry, you went through it, but you made it happen. And what was the victory of that? We made sure that we have formerly incarcerated people on this panel that's responsible for putting 65% of that funding back into the community. I am one of the members. Frankie Guzman is one of the members, and our wonderful moderator is one of the members of the BSCC Executive Steering Committee for Prop 47. Now, in case one or two of you might not know what that is, the way that the Prop 47 was written, 65% of the savings, as I said, is going to substance abuse and mental health. The BSCC, which is the Board of State and Community Corrections, they're responsible for developing the RFP process. But for those of you who are unfamiliar with the BSCC, they are majority law enforcement heavy. We was like, no, these are not the folks who we want responsible for making 100% of the decisions. So the community fought hard, and we have at least 1/3 of the members are formerly incarcerated. That's a victory. And I also want y'all to know something. Your moderator is fearless. Don't think, look, we don't deal with tokens. Ain't nobody up here no token. Just like y'all ain't no token, we ain't no token. You feel me? Your moderator brings it. I got to acknowledge that. I want y'all to know, y'all got some folks up there that's riding for y'all, riding for us, riding for all of us in this state. But we do got some work to continue. We got to continue making sure, because when it started out, it was 1 million people. And I think that number's down to what? It's under 800,000 that's still eligible? Yeah. That's a lot of people. You heard this, thank you, my sister, for sharing your story. This is why we do this, for her testimony, to make sure we improve the quality of life for all of us. Because it's all of us or? No. It's all of us or? No. It's all of us or? No. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Thank you, John. And John said a lot about attorneys, but I can tell you, he's not talking about Frankie. Yeah. Frankie's on the other side.
Maybe you want to go sit over there with Vonja, man. Shit.
Oh, goodness. So Frankie's going to talk some about how Proposition 47 connects with other criminal justice work and reform that can be done not only in California, but across this country. And because California brought forth Prop 47, there might be something in it that you can take back home. And so Frankie's going to talk about that. Thank you, Frankie.
Thank you, Vonja. Yeah.
I stole his seat.
Took my seat and shit.
A felony. It's a misdemeanor.
But I've been restored, so it's all good. We don't need no police for this, man. So really quick, I'm a staff attorney at the National Center for Youth Law. I also work in juvenile defense with Alameda County Juvenile Unit on a volunteer basis because I understand it's not all about changing laws and tweaking this and that and not really understanding what the unintended consequences are, because I feel like too many people, it's too many cooks in the kitchen with this criminal justice reform movement. People just be moving shit and don't really know what it is. When you move a little something over here, 10,000 people are affected by that. And I don't want to contribute to that nonsense of just misguided criminal justice reform. And so really, I try to be on the ground as much as possible. My work is policy change. It's working at the Capitol, but a lot of my work is working on the ground in communities around the state. And so many of you from California know who I am because I'm in your neighborhoods. You know, and I hear everybody, I mean, every law change, Prop 47 is no exception, has its controversy, has its pros and cons, right? But for me, there's no question. When we bring people home, it's a plus. But it is a matter of how, right? And I think we've discussed that. You know, Prop 47 was the first ballot initiative in California that was developed and promoted by the ground. And really quickly, for those of you who are not from California, in California, we can pass a law through the legislature, running through, you know, these high-minded policymakers in the Senate and the Assembly. But what we also know is a lot of times our political leaders in the Capitol are cowards. Don't do things for the right reasons. Sometimes they do the wrong things they think for the right reasons, or the right things for the wrong reasons. But it never really squares well with a lot of people who are directly affected. So in California, we have a referendum, a ballot initiative process where you can circumvent that system, take it straight to the people, collect signatures to get it on the ballot when you decide if you're gonna vote for Trump or for Hillary, right? Yeah, like it's a question, man. But you know, it'll be on there. It'll be on there. And so we don't leave our whole future in the hands of these legislators. We can take power in our own hands. And so Prop 47 was the first time that we actually succeeded in getting something on the ballot and passing it. Yeah. Because so much of what we have today is a result of ballot initiatives run by private interests and law enforcement, like 3 strikes and so many other things that really just messed us up. So, yeah, overwhelmingly. And so I think now we're at a time where people understand it isn't just about punishment and locking people up, because in California today, I mean, I would speculate every goddamn family in the state has been touched by the criminal justice system. Ain't nobody immune from that. And so now we actually have people who have come around and support this. But what I will say is, one, what we learned from Prop 47 was we can do it. People power matters, and it really, you know, Prop 47 gave us the blueprint. But what we also learned is, you know, Prop 47 had this kind of delayed mechanism where first we let people out, reduce the felony convictions, then we added up to see what the savings were, then we go through this bureaucratic process to decide how it's distributed. 3 years later, we're talking, and the money still hasn't reached our people. But in the process, people are being released, harmed, like you know, their life wasn't bad enough, but they got to go through this traumatizing experience of living in a cage, and just simply opening the door is not a remedy. You know, and so when people go home and fail because of not just the lifelong trauma, but of the exacerbation that is the criminal justice system, there should be something immediately waiting for them, even before they go home. But that just isn't the way that proposition was written up. So that's another thing that we considered was, how do we meet services immediately with decarceration, not this delayed response? Because I'll tell you, like in the 3 years that we've been waiting for the money to come and hit the ground, the sheriffs and the DAs have just been running us through the mud, talking about, see, we shouldn't have let these people out because this and that and the other, not acknowledging what the role that society has to play in ruining people's lives, right? So here we are, 2 years after Prop 47, and a bunch of us community advocates and juvenile justice advocates got together, wrote a law, ambitious. We're taking it further. You know, Prop 47 was good. We're gonna be a lot. So we basically decided, one, we want to get rid of DA's power to charge kids as adults. In California, in California, we let judges and DAs make that decision, which kids as young as 14 could go to the adult system. Every year, we prosecute approximately 1,000 kids in the adult system. 90% of those kids are because a DA direct filed them in direct in adult court without asking anybody, behind closed doors. We don't know why, but they did it. Of that figure, 90% of all those kids are Black and Latino youth in California. For low level, snatching an iPhone is now a robbery, right? And it ain't like it's happening to every kid, it's happening to the Black and the brown kids. So we said, DA's done, taking that tool away from you, go away, right? 2, bring a little hope and humanity to the prison system. It isn't gonna change as much as we would like to, but 1, We're going to restore the prison system's authority to award good time credits to people who are behaving and engaged in rehabilitative programming. And the reason is because past initiatives strip that power away from CDCR. DAs from their DA pulpit have been able to strong arm the rest of the criminal justice system down the line, from judges to corrections to parole. So what we're doing is we're restoring the authority of CDCR to award good time credits to people who deserve it, thereby incentivizing rehabilitation and thereby helping them actually prepare for release. And the last thing was, Governor Brown is somebody who is really interested in getting the feds out of our state system, right? And we talked about the right things for the wrong reasons, right? We're all about rehabilitation, helping our people. Some people are interested in getting the feds out of the prison system, and that's their end goal. I get it. It doesn't fucking matter. Interest convergence, right? So what he proposed was get rid of all enhancements. Couldn't do that. So he said, okay, how about we allow parole for people with enhancements for nonviolent offenses? So it was a negotiation, it was a compromise, so we went ahead and made this deal with Governor Brown. So today we have Prop 57, which, again, removes DA power to charge kids as adults, gives that power only to judges in California. 2, restores CDCR's ability to award good time credits as much as they like to whoever they like. It's on them. And 3, allow parole eligibility for anybody who's doing time in prison for a nonviolent offense but has enhancements. These enhancements typically are gang enhancements or nonviolent second strikes. And just to be clear, I get it. The violent, nonviolent false dichotomy that leads to this perception of the deserving and undeserving. It was a political decision. Money and politics are a reality. We couldn't have had this initiative without the governor. But I will say, this is a blueprint for what is next, right? Because if we can come from writing a law that will have this kind of an impact and get the governor to sign on, throw down $24 million, get CPOC, the Chief Probation Officer Association, to endorse, and get the Sheriff's Association to go neutral, that's a fucking win. Yeah.
Thank you. Frankie, is there any information on Prop 57? Any materials here that you know of?
I did not bring any.
So do we need to Google Prop 57? Shall we Google California Prop 57?
Okay. I think Kim McGill might have brought some.
Can you say that again?
There'll be Prop 57 stuff as well as some other California ballot initiative information at the voter registration table at the Justice Fair this afternoon.
Thank you. And so, wait, let me introduce you. You're going to close us out?
Just really quick before I do that.
They're telling us to get off.
Okay, so really quick, so if anybody is in the state of California or nationally, we do have a call this Monday of all the grassroots organizations, statewide organizations that want to work on Prop 57. You want to plug in, you want to do some direct voter contact, you want to get on social media. National folks, if you want to help us out with social media, with money, whatever it is, like, we need your help. Statewide folks, if you want to actually, actually get your boots on the ground, knock on some doors, do some voter engagement, hold some rallies. We have a call on Monday. I won't give you the whole conference call number, but get with myself, Frankie, Kim McGill, or George Galvez. I think they're in the room. We can give you the call-in information. We'll love to have you on a call. It's going to be a big push. Monday is 57 days to the election. So let's do this and let's pass this proposition.
Yeah, go ahead and give the number.
All right. Grab your pens. Grab your pens.
Or pick up your phones.
Out. All right, here we go. We're going to do this. Where's that? Okay, so the number is 712-432-0800. And when you call in, they're going to say, give you the pin. The pin is 456229#. One more time. The number is 712-432-0800, and the pin is 45. You got to get with me offline, sister. They're kicking us off.
Convictions are real.
456229#.
Thank you. And
3:30. 3:30. Pacific Standard Time. 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. So that's what?
PM.
6:30. And then 5:30 Central Time.
And so now, Jay, will you close us out? All right.
Everybody stand up. Come on, let's do this. We're going to do a stop. Y'all ready for this?
Yeah.
It is our duty to